They don't want to take the chance on hearing it or visually taking in what it is that Carol's trying to express. And now the poor operator on the other end, the Howard Hamlin, is the sacrifice, basically. What if they isolated Howard Hamlin from the collective just for the sake of the rest of the hive?
If there was somebody that Howard Hamlin should have distanced himself from, I think Kim Wexler would be the answer.
Right. Kim Wexler does it again, folks. Ruined Howard Hamlin's life by ending it.
We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe.
Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, most times we go deep. This individual was represented by the former form of David Cameo.
This individual is formerly known as CosmoMom09.
This individual was known as Blazy Gardner.
And we're here to discuss with you the 5th episode of Pluribus, because we just recorded the last one and I have it ready for upload, and it's about to publish. All I just have to do is fill in the details.
Well, and it's been a minute since you've been here with us, David.
I know.
Truly.
You're especially confused.
I have truly missed your input, Dave, on this show.
I have missed giving it to all of you.
I
bet you have.
I really appreciate you. Every single episode, you guys are just saying, where is David? Also, I hate that you're in the chat.
David, if you're going to be here, just be here.
I'd rather tell you you're wrong to your face, David. Although that's a good point now that you're in the chat. It's great to be back. But yes, we're here to discuss the 5th episode of Pluribus' inaugural season titled Got Milk?
Got milk?
No, technically.
Technically, no. That kind of made me a little thirsty. This is something we should ask before we get started, because I know some people don't like the taste of milk without like a chocolate or something like that, or at all. But are you guys one of those people?
I used to drink milk a lot, but I'm one of those weirdos that puts ice in my milk. I like freezing cold milk. So
I'm with you.
I do like milk
on that, but I don't know, putting ice in it just kind of grosses me out. Don't ask me why. It's just water, but it does. So
if I'm going to drink milk, it needs to be ice cold.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Just like tasting the warmth of the milk. So you don't like warm milk or hot milk?
Ew.
Of any kind?
I mean, unless it's in cocoa.
Interesting.
Yeah, with chocolate in it, it's fine.
No, just hot milk. Just like on a saucepan, right?
What's the old trope? Like you drink warm milk to go to sleep, and I'm like, no, thank you. I'll just stay up. I'm not drinking warm milk. That's disgusting.
It works though.
I'd rather stay awake
because you throw up until you're exhausted and then you go to sleep. That's disgusting.
I just thought it was the lactase, but still, all right. You just throw up.
You
get exhausted. You get like an ab workout from all the vomiting.
That's gross.
Well, now that we gotten the got milk question out of the way, which is actually please no, mostly, unless it's modified to the degree to which I can actually drink it. Well, we're here. I'm here with you. And I haven't been here for a while. I explained most of this on social media and in a reel on YouTube, so we're not going to get into that too much at all. But, well, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world that is outside of the normal crazy things that go on around the world. I'm going to give you an example of this. When you have one country hacking the bus company of another and yelling out or singing out propaganda on the bus speakers, that's nuts. This is the kind of things that we have to deal with in the realm of computers and security and technology.
I love my little bubble of ignorance over here that I live in.
That being said, Got Milk, how does the title relate to this episode, Charity?
Like everything else, the milk is a illusion.
The milk is a lie.
Rachel has to do the obvious one. I can't take that away. The more I watch, the more I think the hive is an illusion. Their happiness is an illusion, which I mean, we've suspected all along.
Is it though? I'm not convinced. Well, the hive has feelings as well.
Can you have happiness if you don't have emotions in general?
We definitely saw emotion, though.
I did listen to the end of the last podcast where you guys went through. They only have a grasp on basic emotions and all that stuff. I think for the most part, I was with you guys. Mm-hmm. However, this episode gives us more color, I think.
I agree. Got milk, obviously. As Sharon D pointed out in our last coverage, we've seen the theme of milk pretty much all throughout the series so far.
Almost every episode. Yeah.
There has been a mention. So they're throwing these things right in our face if we know where to look.
I pointed it out in the first episode when we covered it. I was like, that was a milk truck and a yogurt truck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Levant Dairy.
Boy.
But yes, they are showing us the answers if we know where to look. Sometimes we don't know that that's the answer until we have episodes like this, where it's much more obvious, where Carol kind of discovers it on her own. Why the milk cartons? Of all of the containers that they could be using,
because
milk
it's
containers?
Everywhere. Every cafeteria, every school, every lunchroom, hospital, government building, anything like that is going to have those little things of milk. They're innocuous because they're connected to children. Nobody's going to think anything about a milk carton. Not that it matters, since none of them think anything anyway. That must be for the benefit of whoever's left. So it's easy to transport that way.
If this were any other container, we could be making the same argument, minus the fact that the milk cartons are more solid. Any other container, I would agree, is see-through to some degree, right? If we're talking like soda bottles, if we're talking
glass bottles,
things like that, we can see right through them. So the milk cartons do provide obscurity, I guess, for what's inside the container.
But think that through. Why? Who cares?
Right. It doesn't matter, except for the viewer.
So then what else? What's left after that?
Could it be size measurement, since they're usually half pint cartons, and maybe that's like an exact measurement? Maybe it's a pre-made dose.
Yeah, maybe it's the requisite size for optimum nutrition, which is kind of what I was thinking.
I was thinking the same thing when I started thinking about what is this substance. It's obviously the tailor-made nutrients that a human would need for survival.
Is it obvious though? I'm taking a leap and I'm probably with you on this one anyway, but I do want to go a little bit backwards before we go a little bit forwards into what it is. Think mimicry, one of the first substances that most babies have when they're born, and this is a new organism, technically, is mother's milk. In your head as an image, the baby is born, what's the first thing they have? Mother's milk. And so what is this organism nursing but what was known as mother's milk? And if they're trying to mimic the human population, or at least what they've grown to be accustomed to as the collective intelligence of the time, what better use or imagery of being a newborn but suckling on the image of what is mother's milk. Going on what you guys were saying before, of the liquids that we produce in the world, milk is the most universally accepted, or as far as the United States goes, the government does subsidize a lot of dairy farms, milk for school programs and stuff like that, like you were touching on, Sharon. But it's so heavily prevalent in American society at the very least. And so milk distribution would be everywhere, or the capacity to distribute that particular liquid in an easy manner to many people all at once, everywhere. It just makes sense.
They've shown that they will go out of their way to make Carol comfortable, right? Like the sirens and turning the music on and stuff like that. This is just another layer that she sees them drinking milk. Even though, like Carol said, they're not always in cartons. Sometimes they're in cans or even in bottles.
Or bags.
Or bags.
Or bags. Bags of milk.
That just sounds gross.
A bag of milk. We used to call a kid that, by the way, because he came from somewhere else. Obviously, the beg. He had that Philadelphia accent, so he called it a bag of milk.
Okay.
It's like how some people call it, like you,
Shut
bagels.
Up. I knew that was coming.
Hey, we're 5, whatever. Leave me alone. Stop bullying me, bullying you.
Anyway.
Yeah, now that we beat that one to the ground. So what's in it?
I mean, I know what it looks like. I went one place first, and then by the end of the episode, I was
in a different
place. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I want your journey. Let's go. Where did it hit you first that it could be one thing?
My first thought was it was something they were adding to the milk. We find out later that there is no milk, that it's just this.
The milk is a lie.
The milk is a lie, that it's just this amberish substance. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then she finds the powdery substance, which to me looked like sugar. And if they're mixing it with water, they're creating sugar water. Even if they kind of boil it down, it would sort of turn that amber color. If you cook sugar on the stovetop and mix it with water, it would turn that color. And she said it had no smell. There would be sweetness. So I don't know. Anyway, to me, it looked like sugar water, which then took me to Men in Black.
Oh, the bug creatures.
Yeah.
I need sugar.
When the bug landed and he took over Edgar's body and he needed sugar water. Carol keeps referring to like this weird alien virus. And I'm like, oh yeah, the bug was an alien and he wanted sugar water. And now here the hive mind wants sugar water. It made sense in my head.
It's a collective Edgar, basically. Yeah. What do you think, Sharon?
My first thought was Soylent Green. Soylent Green is people. But I was like, that's just so obvious. It can't be that.
You're meant to think that.
That's where I was at the end of the episode.
I went back and I thought, okay, they won't kill things to eat it, but they will eat it if it's already dead. Because the others were eating meat at the table with their families.
To whose benefit, though, was that?
Yes, only in the presence of...
Right. Zosha says they prefer to be vegetarian. But
Right.
they can be flexible. They're very anti-waste. So all those dead people would just be wasted if they didn't turn them into food.
Okay. I'm on that boat.
And just a little thing, but they were loading dead bodies into a milk truck when we met Zosha.
Good point. Right. In the Levant dairy truck in Morocco.
So I feel like maybe this is where it's going, but it's too on the nose for Vince Gilligan. So I feel like there's going to be some kind of twist to it. It's not just going to be like it's straight Soylent Green. Something else is going on.
Because I think what you're saying leads me to the same avenue, but let me say I'm with Rachel at least on what is in it is just basal, all-encompassing nutrients in a prepackaged format that just needs water, which is everywhere. And that's fine. But then what is in it to make the nutrients fine? And could it be connected to what she discovers at the end of the episode? I was on the same path or thought process as you, Sharon D, because they could be preserving a lot of things. Waste not, want not. And they could be doing it for a variety of benefits. And I guess it may not have even occurred to them to distinguish between fruits, vegetables, all these other different products in a factory of what some sort. And again, we have to consider that the factory itself, the Agri-Jet factory, where the dog food is processed technically, that's where they are getting the salts from, or at least that's where it's being packaged. Fine. But it would be just like this series to, in a very unemotional way, say, hey, how do you think replicators on Star Trek work? It takes everything that is wasted, everything that we have raw materials, and like just breaks it down to its carbon and protein formats and then reconfigures them to make the thing that you want. I don't know if you're familiar with Star Trek at all, but they have replicators where you can make anything you want in your brain become material, right? But Star Trek does this awesome thing down the years of saying, well, how do you think that happens? Literally all the raw material that you have on board that is put into waste, and that doesn't exclude things like, okay, not saying dead bodies, but I am saying waste. And I am also saying human waste. We'll go into replicating usually clothing, let's say.
Gross.
Right, because there are materials in your waste that can be used to make certain things.
Fiber.
Right. I guess when broken down to its infinite particles, let's say, and reassembled, right? Because then I point you to the color of the liquid. I wonder if part of the process isn't making use of the things that we normally waste to reconfigure them into some sort of salt or powder of some kind or crystal that can be dissolved into water. Part of that is frozen feces, maybe, which that would be the gasp. Because just consider the fact that this is how the scene went down. You're seeing all the watermelons and whatnot and fruits and vegetables frozen in the aisles and stuff like that, which is okay. That makes sense. You look at the dog food package in the front. You're like, oh, yeah, this dog food has fruits and a whole lot of meat and bone. Right. Whatever. But then you go to one stall, you pick up the plastic and you look underneath. And she doesn't have a reaction right away. Because if it was a dead animal, she'd be like, oh, this is what is why? Why is this? She's like,
takes her a minute to figure out what she's looking at.
Why am I looking at feces? One of these things is not like the other at all, actually. It's not animal or mineral or vegetable. It's feces. It's just a funny thought that I had in my head. The horror is them having to explain why it is that they do this.
Also, the fruits and vegetables and stuff are in there because that is what they took from consolidating everything, and they're keeping it.
Right. So we have that answer.
We feed Otto and Peachy chicken breast, but we have to supplement that because there aren't enough nutrients. There aren't enough other variety of things that they need in that chicken breast. So they could be using the bodies to make the gel, but they could also be putting fruits and vegetables and such in there too as supplements, because you can't rely on human alone.
So it's highly engineered human food.
It could also be something they use to maintain their connection. Maybe the hive mind doesn't stay hive mind on its own. Maybe it has to have some kind of sugar water to keep it going.
Well, it is still a virus. And so if the virus needs to feed off of something that's in the human body, you may be right. But I did go to the basic science of what she was saying about the pH scale. Obviously, a pH of 7 is basically water, right? Distilled water.
The basic scale. Good one, Dave.
Well, it is 7.1, so it is more basic than it is acidic. But that's not saying much if the range within liquids we can drink is 6.0 to 8.5. But I will say, There are naturally occurring liquids that are also on the pH scale, and they are human blood. It's a very tightly regulated pH range of 7.35 to 7.45, which is slightly basic but considered a near neutral range, and human saliva, which varies from 6.6 to 7.3. Gross,
Okay.
but still valid. Unsweetened almond milk also falls within that range. Out of all these things that I'm looking up, that's the most strange to me. Non-natural liquids that we can partake of, technically, neutral phosphate buffered saline. These are laboratory created solutions used for biological research and medical applications. They're designed to maintain a stable pH of around 7 and are isotonic, meaning they have a salt concentration similar to that of human blood. So kind of cool. Specific formulations, once verified for purity and composition, could theoretically be consumed, though they are not marketed as beverages. And there's one other thing. It's solutions of neutral salts. A solution of a neutral salt, such as sodium chloride, table salt, in pure water is also chemically neutral with a pH of exactly 7. The concentration must be appropriate for consumption, like very mild saline. So other than almond milk,
Where does Gatorade fall on that scale?
I think it's more alkaline. So it's more acidic, but it's still consumable. It's probably on the 6.0 side of the scale.
What if this is like a alien Gatorade or something? Like
Maybe, but it is 7.1, so it's very close to perfect balanced pH.
And there's no chlorine in it.
Right.
There's no chlorine.
Which I thought was actually backhandedly interesting because A, it's funny that she used a pool tester.
That shows some ingenuity. That's covering your bases.
You want to know if the people that we're interacting with are still human. And if you break them out, are they the same kind of person? Can they continue to digest human food, whatnot? Is this their new diet because they can't? Testing it for chlorine made me a little bit pause because if it is a salt derived nutrient, let's say, well, then if there's no chlorine in it, is that a problem? Or is the chlorine chemically neutral so it doesn't count in terms of the pH balance and stuff? I have no idea. I'm confident we'll find out. Another thought occurred to me throughout all of this. First of all, as she's re-recording because she realizes she sounds like a girlfriend who's trying to reform, right? She's abused her ex-boyfriend and now she realizes, okay, I have to send this message again to get on his good side or her good side, whatever. It doesn't go that much better the second time around. Greetings, survivors. Don't you think, just based on their first meeting alone, that Lakshmi and Kumba, they probably already know what's in these things? It's that she's the last one to know. Did you not get that feeling? Because they've been so upfront with everybody else about what's going on here, what this collective is all about, and how accepting everybody else is.
I don't know if they know what's in it. I think they just don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the only person who's going to care at all is going to be
Our friend in Paraguay.
yes, Menusos.
Menusos.
I think he's going to be the only one who cares about what she's sending out.
Yeah. Well, and even still, to what end?
Do you think it's possible that there are other people out there that they don't know about, like Menusos?
I think
I'm
it's
not offended by
possible.
that.
There are lots of people who are very solitary that wouldn't necessarily have connections to know about them.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's not going to be an army, but
I would dial that back a little bit because of what we said in the first episode, which was it is extremely difficult in this day and age to go at it alone, especially in the areas that aren't, I'm going to say, quote unquote, civilized or modernized or whatnot. Even then, those people are not alone. They're in tribes, let's say. So if one of those tribes was infected, then the rest of them on the numbers, just based on statistics, are probably of the hive mind. So I wouldn't be surprised. However, it's extremely unlikely. That's how I'll put it.
I'm not thinking there would be a lot, but there are people that do live out in the woods that don't have any connection to anybody anymore. So maybe those people wouldn't be affected. But then again, there's also the fact that they dropped it with chemtrails. So who did it not affect?
Even if that's true, they'll still be out there all alone and will be irrelevant to the story. If you think about it.
I mean, if the hive mind wants to use them as whatever, they're a drone or whatever, so they would probably call them out of the woods to whatever closest town. Where did everybody go when they left Albuquerque?
Santa Fe. Why wouldn't they? It's Albuquerque after all. I've been there quite a few times. And the last time I was there probably was the worst.
You've been to Santa Fe?
Both Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Yeah, Albuquerque, it's got its highlights and its lowlights. It's quite a few lowlights.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Rude.
You have to go there to know what I mean. It's a place where people live.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. Nothing to write home about. It's got color. Anyway, let's move on. I already trashed Albuquerque enough.
I was going to pivot and take us in another direction and just say how nice it was to see Carol finally be able to grieve Helen.
In whatever little way she can.
Yes, this seems to me like the first time, well, besides her breakdown under the truth serum spell, but this is the first time she's actually been able to sort of slow down and really acknowledge that fact.
Well, in what manner did that take?
It forced her when she saw the wolves digging up Helen's makeshift grave. And Carol's like, don't do that, right? Because that's her. That's where she's at. I mean, she knows that she's not there anymore. But this, I think, for her sort of brought it into reality. Before then, she could be like, Helen's just at the store. Oh, Helen is visiting her mom. This really kind of brought her back to reality. No, Helen is gone and these wolves are about to dig up her body.
Right. And all this drama with the hive mind has
been very distracting. Yeah.
That's exactly the word I was going to use. But then I wanted to add more words. But yeah, it's taking away from what would normally be a stop everything, grieve, do your thing sort of process.
Right.
I've noticed that when Carol slows down and does something for herself, she gets rewarded. Instead of relying on them to come get her trash, she takes the trash and takes care of it herself. And she finds out about the milk cartons. She slows down and builds Helen's thing by herself. She doesn't get any help.
Her burial mound.
They called it a dance floor on the official podcast.
I would not.
They said it's the size of a dance floor.
It's a Greek dance floor.
She builds Helen's
ancient Greek
monument, and she finds out about the bag.
The bag?
The barcode on the bag.
Dog food, nutrient bag.
She slows down enough and takes a breath, and she notices that she only has to push a button to open the gun lock on the car, which was hilarious.
And gets
solves her coyote problem herself, like you said.
Right. Yeah. So it's every time she does something on her own, she gets rewarded for it in some way.
It's more apparent in this episode that that's the case, at least, because they purposely drew that out. Well, and then so that goes to something that was just visually. It occurred to me when the drone took away the second message, not the first message necessarily, because you didn't kind of see it that way. But okay, the drone is flying over the backyard, let's say, of this desert, because it's a cul-de-sac in the middle of the desert, and it's zooming away. And of course, all the coyotes in the world come in to Carol's backyard.
Wolves.
Was it wolves? Yeah, I wasn't quite
wolves.
sure. Okay, fine. Let's call them wolves. I don't care. Some canine.
It was a theme for this episode.
Yeah.
Wolves.
Again, all the canines. So as the drone is zooming past the backyard, it occurred to me, wait, you know what they could just do? The hive mind. If they were the nefarious kind of hive mind that we're all assuming, because we can't not assume, but we should probably not assume that they are. They could just go click and then the message would never get delivered just because of the way it was filmed.
I thought we were going to see him drop it off, and there was the other one was going to be there too. They were just going to drop it out in the middle
next
of nowhere.
to it. Yeah, like a Vince Gilligan kind of way. Like, I dropped it exactly where the other one was because I'm robot people.
They were wolf dogs, according to the official podcast.
Oh, yeah, they had to train them,
because everybody is going to want to know their names. Their names were Kaya, Rip, Ricky, Coda, and Cora.
That sounds right.
That's freaking adorable.
Aren't they cute?
All American names / all Native American names.
They said that while they were filming, they wouldn't let anybody approach them and talk to them or anything. But after the filming was done, they're like, okay, you guys can all go pet the wolf dogs now.
Okay.
And everybody was over there loving on them.
That makes sense.
That's cute.
They're pretty cool. It occurred to me that they could dump the message.
But they wouldn't.
Why was I riffing off of that, though? Oh, because she figured it out on her own and blah, blah, blah. Well, she relied on them to send that message.
Oh, yes.
Right? But it occurred to me that they could just as easily dump the message. And it's interesting. Do it yourself. You want an internet, build it yourself, which is actually what I was thinking. Because they don't need an interconnected internet world, this hive mind. Right. So the calling up at the hospital, of course, she has the wherewithal to pick up the phone because
no one else is calling except for her.
No one else needs that phone call except for her or her survivor friends who aren't really friends with her, basically. Same thing with relying on them to send the message. We've knocked out everything because why? We don't need it. We can just go, hey, hive mind node over here. It's the little things that we take for granted that this world is so hyper connected. And when you are a hive mind, you don't need any of it because you're seeing the world through everybody's eyes and you can touch each other's consciousness through this weird psychic glue. So the screens that we're looking at, irrelevant. The cameras, don't need it. Cell phones, don't need it at all. It's just interesting how quiet the world would be if we were all part of this hive mind. And how noisy it would be in your head, probably. But still.
We don't know what it's like in their minds, though. Can they tune it in and out? Can they sort of pinpoint what they need? Is it like a walkie-talkie where we're on they're on different frequencies and they can tap into this person or that person? Or because we've seen when Zosha is trying to communicate specifically with an individual, and it does take her a second. I think we've seen it in other characters too, where they like focus for a minute and then they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, I figured that out. The reason why it takes long is because of human communication. What they're attempting to do is that time that it takes to get that information isn't really the time it takes to gather it in their brain. It's the time it takes to actually say it to a human. They're all at once trying to say to their human companions, hey, so-and-so wants to speak to you.
Except she did the same thing in the elevator when she asked her to turn on the music. She like closed her eyes and focused, and then the music came on. And that did not require a human.
That was how long it took for that other human to walk into the thing and then turn a button and then come.
No, but what I'm saying is Zosha had to close her eyes and focus on messaging the person who would be in charge of doing the music.
Dramatic.
It's like she was searching for that specific individual out of all of them.
I think we could also consider the fact that she was damaged. And so maybe it took a little effort or more effort than normal.
Maybe it's different if like the other person pipes up, because like when she was telling Carol about the water, that this guy bottled the water on the plant this day. Like she didn't have to search for him. That just popped into her head. But it could be that he was listening to the conversation, was like, hey, I was there that day and I bottled it.
Yeah. I just feel like anything that takes a little time is either the shuffling of feet or having to confirm it from a human person at the other end that needs that time it takes to say the things and to receive the words to confirm it. But
yeah,
it's fascinating nonetheless to think about. I gotta admit.
When you were here, Dave, one of the main things I was like, is I want to know how the hive mind works. I want to know how this operates and what it actually is. So that's like the most interesting thing.
It's all about the details, which I have to commend Vince Gilligan et al. For really tackling, is that there's high potential to pick this thing apart. The more you keep it nebulous, the better your position is going to be, Vince.
Agreed.
But so far, so good. I feel very good about this.
I was listening to someone cover episode 3, and they were talking about the science that they put into this. They are as close to actual real science as you can possibly get with what they're saying in this. They didn't cut corners and just make a bunch of stuff up. They actually got into the science. Now, is it really stuff that can happen? Yeah. But they made the fantasy is based in reality, right? It's firmly based in reality.
It's just the way you said that. That was really funny. Yeah, maybe.
What specific science are you referring to, though?
The 4 things, the guanine, uracil,
chemicals that make up
and they're like, so anybody who wasn't well versed in science could have easily substituted thiamine for the uracil, which would have made it DNA based, not RNA based. The board that they're looking at in the when they're in the very beginning, when they show the big whiteboard with all the equations and stuff on it, that's real science. This on the board is how you would create this thing that they sent us, which I think is really cool.
Right. The rest is like a big leap, right? You have all the pieces in place, just that there's the X factor that makes this the show that it is, basically. So how do you get from RNA to a virus that keeps people psychically linked? Well, stay tuned, folks. I don't know.
Well, we may never find that out.
It's interesting, though.
But they based it in enough real science that it's believable.
And it's not even for the nerds. It's for the folks that are like, this is not consistent, Reddit folks, basically. r/pluribus, which is poppin'.
I will say that I've been there a little bit, and most of what I've seen is mostly positive. You're always going to have your yeah people, but
yeah, for sure. Well, and a lot of the cream tends to rise to the top too. It's just that when you're in it and getting all the notifications, which I'm not, but it's fine. What I really wanted to talk about with this episode is the almost current or ex-girlfriend mood that the collective hive mind stance is taking towards Carol.
We just need our space Carol.
I love it. But I also hate that. I hate it. I felt bad for them. Let me paint this picture, because your head immediately goes to, when you hear the premise of the series, you're Earth domination, aliens are invading, oh my god. And like I said in the first episode, it's like the Borg, it's like pod people, but it's the reverse. So instead of trying to dominate Carol, they're escaping. They're aliens that are escaping, not dominating. They're fleeing. I just love that little, if you think this is aliens coming down and destroying or dominating or creating chaos and havoc and killing all the humans and stuff, it's the exact reverse. They're subservient to the remaining humans. They're fleeing when they get hurt. Oh, precious angel baby alien consciousness. When you think about it, it's exactly what I love about the series is that Carol is the worst. She is the perfect, you said anti-hero. I say more like antagonizing protagonist. They are literally the tension. They're causing the tension in the series. And really the collective, because she's saying, I'm just trying to save humanity. And from their perspective, they're like,
we already did that.
Right.
But now we need space. We tried to throw a life preserver. But you're like, the scene, she's drowning and her arms are flailing and she's swearing at them. She's like, okay, you need a timeout. Call us when you need a life raft, you crazy lady. It's funny as ass, though.
I love that they took the common trope and turned it on its side. Sometimes when you watch media today, it feels like everything has been done.
Right.
What can you possibly surprise me with that hasn't already been done?
It's like kind of like what From could have been. From is convoluted.
I say it every
and
week.
People like that about it. Some people. But if you boiled everything down, added humor to it, and just made the answer simple, like goad you into thinking this is an alien invasion, but really only giving you the opposite of what it is, pod people, alien invasion, Borg, whatever. But just every answer points to Carol is the worst, and the hive mind actually isn't that bad at all. There's no nefariousness about it whatsoever. But if you keep goading the audience into believing, showing them signs of an alien invasion, but it's never going to be that. It's what From could have been. Imagine what if From was actually, it's a nice place. You're just ruining it. You're just resisting it. That's why the tension's happening.
I mean, I think the nighttime monsters pretty much make it
they're
not
just
a nice
trying
place.
to give you a friendly hug.
Sure.
If you just let them, everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like in The Sixth Sense, when he finally stopped being afraid of the ghosts and started talking to him, and he found out they just had problems that they needed him to solve for them.
Right.
So
just needed a kid to solve their problems, which is odd, actually, when you think about it.
I liked seeing them mad at Carol. I did.
It was funny. It was funny.
Everybody's reaction, all the way from her talking to Lakshmi on the phone. She hangs up and she's like, hey, tell that lady if she wants my number again. And the guy looks at her and just looks away.
Is she going to be okay? She's going to be fine. Bye.
The many shades of shade.
Even the recording on the phone, they won't even talk to her anymore.
Rachel, you know who that was.
Hello, Carol. This is a recording. At the tone, you can leave a message to request anything you might need. We'll do our best to provide it. Our feelings for you haven't changed, Carol. But after everything that's happened, we just need a little space.
Yeah, we both know who that was. David, do you know who the voice that is?
Of course I do.
Did you know, or did you have to look it up?
Oh, no, I knew.
Okay.
I knew the second I heard him. Like,
Yeah.
Is that Patrick Fabian? Is that Howard Hamlin?
Yes, it is.
They did not tell Ray that was who was going to be on the other side of the phone. They wanted to make her break the scene. She didn't. She was a pro.
Oh, why did I lift
She
that one?
finished the scene, and then she was like, is that Patrick? Why didn't you tell me?
Spice of life, lady.
That's hilarious.
But yes, I think it's very
my
appropriate that it should be Howard Hamlin, of all people, doing the gentle breakup.
He has a perfect VO voice, too.
He really does.
Who better to be the operator, right? I want him to be my operator. Every time I call the bank and there's an automated message, I want it to be Howard Hamlin. Basically.
We even had an opening in the sky. It was Him Indigo Blue as we opened up the episode.
Did you lift that?
No,
or?
I'm just making a joke.
Okay, but I think that might have been it. I'm trying to think about, okay, wait, it's a perfect blue sky, no clouds. Yeah, it's Hamlin Indigo Blue. It's so funny how I love hearing his voice throughout the episode, but every single time she calls, it's almost as though she gets increasingly more frustrated.
Wouldn't you?
The one I played for you was the one before she told him to turn on all the lights, and she's banging on the club on the table, which I muted because it's really loud compared to the recording. I'm like dying laughing, pleasantly loving
Every
this.
time it plays, it gets funnier because it's just more irritating. Like, I know you don't have to keep telling me this.
It is long,
Yeah.
to be fair, but it's a little triggering, though. It's really confusing because you want to feel bad for the collective, because I think each of us identifies with just needing a little space, and how mean Carol is. It's like, I wouldn't want to get your space. And it's like,
Right?
It's mean. There's still people.
She doubles down on it and threatens them. I can't be responsible for how biblically angry I'm going to be if you don't do it.
In one sentence.
And it's like,
The
whoa.
biblically shitty mood
Right.
I will find myself in. I loved it.
She's emotionally manipulative. That wouldn't make me happy. Blackmailing if you don't. Threatening, biblically ishy mood. And finally, abusive. God knows you need your space. In one sentence.
She really is.
One sentence, she did all the isms.
She really is the worst.
I got triggered massively. I was like, ugh.
And you know, the first time she's sitting out there waiting for somebody to show up, and then it's a drone, and she is like,
Oh, they can't even handle
mad.
coming to my place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Ugh, I got the ick. I'm Bridget.
They're so mad they won't even send someone out to collect the broken drone with the bag of trash.
Conversely, she's so upset what she calls about the trash, and they call back. You can tell that she was seriously hoping it would be a real voice and not a recording.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then when it wasn't, she was visibly disappointed. So she's realizing, as much as she said, just leave me alone, she doesn't really want them to leave her completely alone.
She can't. It's like she's incapable. She is constantly calling and asking them for things,
Right.
which is the complete opposite as
Manusas?
our friend in Paraguay. Yeah, I'm not even going to try, but I know he's from Paraguay.
Okay.
He is the exact opposite of Carol. He is truly, truly independent, not asking them for anything, going out of his way to avoid them.
Right. There's the what we say we are versus what we actually are.
Yeah. Carol thinks she is independent and leave me alone and I don't need this and that.
bee.
But she is very heavily relying on them for lots of things.
More than she cares to admit.
Oh,
at the time.
absolutely.
With Helen, she has to do it herself. She can't rely on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're technically the same person, really, Manusos and Carol. Like you said, he actually does the thing, but he's also realizing that he goes through all the storage lockers, like you said, and all he's able to come up with Tic Tacs and gel and dog food, haggis, which, by the way, it's not that bad. I think he's more of a realist. See, and that's the other thing, too, is that we got an eye full of him at the beginning of the first episode, and he makes the key art, but we don't see him at all in this episode, which makes me wonder. You had said we'd see him again just based on the teaser footage. Maybe the messages are going to be the entry point for him to be more seen in the next episode, right? Because I imagine they're going to drone drop, because he wants to be left alone too. Mm-hmm. Drone drop the footage.
At any point, he could talk to one of them that showed up at his door and is like, put me in touch with this lady, and they would do it. But I feel like the character-wise, they're going to drop a CD in the middle of his compound.
Or like a self-playing player or something. With the parachute. We didn't want to bother you.
We're not. This isn't food. We swear. This lady wants you to watch her DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it's Carol Esturca. We were spying on you when you wrote that down. Technically, we did. We got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Did they? Who knows? It's big government, big Paraguay government. So let's give Carol some credit. When Lakshmi calls and says, "You don't make my son cry ever," because it's on the heels of the last episode. Please, Carol. Right? Can you imagine all around the world, this collective is saying, "Please, Carol," so they know who did it.
Right? Can't really deny it.
In my head, Lakshmi is furious. I'm just imagining the first encounter. But then to give Carol some credit, Lakshmi says, "You don't make my son cry ever again." And then I go, "That's not your son." Who do you think is crying?
And Zosha's fine, by the way.
Thanks for
In
asking.
case you wanted to know.
Thanks for asking.
My person that I love, probably, who's affable.
Who's affable?
Forget all that. I figure out how to fix this. They've already made it clear they're not interested in fixing it, so you are not appealing to her in any way at all.
Which
Carol
sucks.
can be as tone deaf as the hive mind.
Oh.
Carol, she's upset about her son, and you're going to be like, "Yeah, but I can fix this." That's not getting her in any way.
But there's a difference, I think, because the hive mind wants to be understood. Carol doesn't care. She wants to be understood, or she thinks she's understood by the rest of the survivors. And at each turn, she's completely not. And actually, I have an answer to this, which is so cool if you really think about Vince Gilligan's material. It's uniquely American, both the negative and the positive. There's the rugged individualism, but there's also like the penchant for egotism or egotistic narcissism. Like, we are the center of the universe. But then there's these beautiful moments of thoughtfulness and heartfulness, things that make even the worst people sympathetic, like Walter White. I say that because, like, the rugged individualist, I think he purposefully sets apart Carol from the rest of the world, or at least the rest of the surviving human individuals rather than collective people. Because we're a different animal. we're born of the kind of pioneering spirit of discovery, whereas the rest of the world is kind of over it. We still kind of have that in our propositions, right? In our constitution, to seek out, no, I'm sorry, that's Star Trek, seek out new life and new civilizations. The whole pursuit of happiness, the pursuing part, which I just love that part of that proposition. I think that sets people apart than traditionalism, a certain way that is done over and over again. I think Americans try to reinvent themselves, and possibly ill-fatedly. You may think that what you're doing is original, but it isn't. It's been done. And yet you think you keep reinventing the wheel. It's still a wheel. For all its shine, there is always a double-edged sword to Vince Gilligan's material, just like Americans. I feel like this material reflects what Vince Gilligan has been really trying to say about his work all along, is that we're kind of great, except when we're not. And Carol reflects that soup to nuts. You want to cheer her on. You want her to succeed. You want her to do the thing, even though the thing that she's doing is hurting a lot of people. We keep watching the episodes. We keep wanting her to do the thing. You asked for it. She's going to break a couple eggs along the way. So for good or for ill, we're along for the ride with all the mistakes she's going to be making along the way.
I'm just thinking about the stuff he's done that I'm familiar with. Yes, there are stubborn, headstrong characters that we follow.
But I don't think that's a uniquely American trait.
No.
I think we glorify it more than other cultures do. But I don't necessarily think it's strictly an American thing.
We place that value above other values, let's say. That's kind of what I mean. I mean, people are technically kind of the same all over, is also kind of like the message of the show, is that we're all humans. We all eat, drink, fart, poop. But some humans place certain values over other, or culturally speaking, we place some values over others. And we're going to find out that the collective places, feces is normal, right? It's just a bodily function. If we break down the particles from feces, we can eat them, basically. Make feces salts.
There are a lot of cultures out there that are more community-centered than American culture.
Right, less individualistic.
Right. But they're still individuals.
Of course. But it's what values you place above others in terms of the hierarchy of needs. Coming to this country, my parents had always wanted to live next to their grandparents and their cousins and their uncles and etc. We wanted to all live near each other because that's kind of how we grew up. So to hear their son say, when I turn 18, I'm going to move out and far away, it was very hurtful to them to kind of imagine a world in which I too would not be in the general vicinity of where they lived. And so it kind of makes sense that if somebody watching this show, people are aware of Americans. They just can't really tag us in terms of the kind of people that we are, I think. We prioritize different values over others, let's say, that make us uniquely American. But people, generally speaking, can't really pin us down. And I think Vince Gilligan has a way with actually being able to do that. It's like, oh, this is what it means to be American, for good or for ill.
Well, cultures that tend to be more community-minded tend to be smaller areas of living. Japan's very... At least it used to be very familial, connected. Japan's not a very big place. It's a relatively small country. Whereas in the United States, there's a lot of room for people to spread out. We kind of grew up here with the explorer mentality, the frontiersman
spirit.
Yeah.
Even if we can't do it on our own, we feel like we can. Like
right. Well, Americans scream individual. I'm an individual. I can do it all. And then they go buy their Starbucks coffee and their Apple computer.
I'm a pioneer.
Did you go kill that soybean and beef? No.
Did you kill that soybean patty yourself? Why did I bring this up? Only because it was really off the heels of the Lakshmi conversation. The differences in attitude, leave well enough alone versus no, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. That's not your kid. I completely sympathize with Lakshmi going, let's not make things worse than it already is. Let's say, perhaps. Like, this is my new normal. This is my new reality. The world is broken. Acknowledge that it's broken. Maybe you can fix it, but maybe be careful.
I would like to see some more interaction between the survivors and their family members. Sharon and I had a conversation about whether or not any individual in the hive mind would be able to basically summon forth the person they are inhabiting. So on a day-to-day basis, is Lakshmi's son acting like a 9-year-old? I'm making a guess here. He looked about 9. Is he doing things a 9-year-old would do, or is he doing trigonometry and solving, I don't know,
wheeling medical equipment around the hospital? Like the other 12-year-old kid that they had wheeling stuff around in there.
Right.
Exactly.
That's meant for us.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder how the interactions go and if what we speculated as possible. When you're inhabiting a person, can you bring forth that person? Or do these people not exist anymore?
What if that thing that makes you you is still in there? It's just overwhelmed by this other thing.
Right. That's why I wonder if that personality is able to come forward.
Yeah. At the risk of making certain leaps and assumptions, I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that the collective is making the closest approximation to Ravi as humanly possible, quote unquote, meaning he's still there. You can distill the parts of him in memory or in action even or behavior and then place it in the body. But you also still have to admit that if they are doing that, they're doing that just to keep Lakshmi happy. Same thing with her husband. But that's the only reason why they're doing that. It's not really them, technically, because there is no them. Them is just the collective. I wanted to say this in a previous episode, but obviously I haven't been since the first episode, or no? Yeah, it wasn't even Grenade. We did the first two in the first in our first discussion, and I haven't been on since. But Dragon Ball has been a long running for 30 or 40 years, I think, at this point.
Oh my gosh.
Akira Toriyama started it. It's a manga, anime. They introduced this concept somewhere along the line called fusion. And fusion, what it really is, you have two characters, and they either do the fusion dance or wear Potara earrings. I'm getting technical now. And what that does is they fuse together. And instead of it being two people, one voice, it's a new being, right? That is composed of varying wibbly wobbly personality types from both characters, let's say. But they do this to increase their power, to defeat the enemy, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it is a new being. And this is something that's been expressed over and over again. It's like, I'm not either or the other. I'm a new person. And so if you want to visualize what the collective is, it's not any one person. It's a new person. So it doesn't do the audience more favors when you think of it this way, because literally this person, which is what we can refer to as, is hurt.
But if it can be reversed, then what happens to those one people?
Well, you're killing.
Does Ravi come back with his own memories, or does he still have everybody else's memories too? Does he only have part of his memories and some dude over here has the other part, and Ravi's got like fragmented memories from everybody else? What about Ravi himself? Does he come back, or is it Ravi used to be Ravi and now it's somebody completely different?
So I have two-ish answers for that question. This is a great question, right? The way I imagine this whole psychic glue thing works is, look, it obviously uses messenger RNA. So meaning your DNA interacts with other people's DNA and relies on the messenger DNA, the RNA, to communicate with one another in a sort of distributed node system. The way cloud computing works, distributed node system means you're relying on multiple nodes to act as a single processor. So you're relying on the entire hive to process multiple thoughts at the same time. Because you're a multi-node system, you can rely on 3 nodes to process some things, whereas one node, a person, would take all their concentration. But now you have multiple nodes to have a single thought, which is why they're able to do so many things at once. You're using the entire capacity of one's brain distributed, right, spread out across humanity. So simple tasks are like you have multiple arms now to do a simple task that would, with one person, would be impossible. But then again, like I said, it's a single being. It's a new being. It's one person that has the distributed functional thought of billions of people. I'm trying to give you a visual representation of what this actually is. So the second-ish part of that question is, let's say you are able to bring Ravi out, Lakshmi's child, of this thing. My worry is not necessarily the remnants of thoughts from all the other people, is that are you therefore creating another being, technically? Because when you pull somebody out of that collective, or a fingernail, right? It was really an appendage of a one collective being. Does like you said, does the memories and the things live in Ravi now, or have they been distributed, or is it static in that one node and we're just sending messenger signals across a web, or is he gone and his consciousness and his memories are distributed across the collective consciousness? It doesn't live in Ravi anymore. That's the worry for me, is that he can't come back. Which is my worry at the end of the last episode, is you can't do that. That's why I'm going to go into cardiac arrest, because there's no going back. The world is broken. We broke the thing. You can't go back. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying that what does that look like? And that may not look like what we think it looks like.
We were led to believe that this process can be reversed, though.
We were led to believe a lot of things. Alien invasion. And we're kind of wrong.
I know, but Zosha's reaction or non-answer to the question that Carol posed quite matter-of-factly. There was no interpretation necessary. She asked a very direct question. And Zosha's reaction to it, Carol's like, okay, so it can be reversed.
Yeah, reversed is pretty specific though, isn't it? Can people go back to the way they were, back to before when this thing happened? But then you're asking the person to kill themselves though. That's kind of what I was thinking. How do you ask a being one, although it is collective, it's still one thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you ask somebody to destroy themselves?
That's what they're asking of Carol.
They didn't ask the human race in the first place.
That's what they're asking of Carol.
Please, Carol.
In regards to what you were saying about them saying that they could reverse it, they're very good at half-truths. Yes, it can be reversed, but that's just the action. It doesn't tell you what
the outcome.
Right. What that could mean is simply severing the hive mind. So now everyone on Earth isn't linked to each other, but what does that mean for the humans now? Are they just empty, brainless shells?
Well, and here's what we forgot. What was the process of getting them linked up? Seizures, right? For an extended period of time? What would it look like breaking them out?
They just passed out. They didn't really have seizures.
Well, it was the
They
shaking.
shook.
Yeah.
Well, seizing also means to stop.
I don't think that the actual joining is what killed anybody. I think it was what they were doing at the times. Coming out of it, as long as you're not driving a car or flying an airplane, which being the hive mind, they can all say, hey, let's not do this. Physically, they'll come out of it okay. Here's the most important thing. Carol may be, I don't want you to say anything about Helen. I don't want you to think about Helen. That could also be grief talking. She hasn't had time to think about what it means to have Helen's consciousness available to her. They could find someone who resembles Helen and stick Helen's thoughts in her, which is kind of what they attempted with Pirate Lady. I'm not saying it would work, but I'm saying that over time, Carol would get used to it. That's just how we are. Something weird happens. After it's done enough, you get used to it. You may know it's not real, but you can still say, oh, well, this is as close as I can get to reality. And which is better?
I don't see that working out because it's not Helen.
I'm just saying it's something that they could do.
It might be something that they would try to do, but it would be an imposter.
And I agree with you, but humans over time tend to accept things.
Well, they adapt.
Right. It just becomes part of your everyday. You're excited when you get a new car, but after a few weeks, you're like, it's just my car. She could be like, oh, this is not Helen. I hate her. I don't want her near. But the more this person acts like Helen and is Helen-ish around her, she would get used to it. I'm not saying she would ever really fully accept it, but it would be something better than what she has now.
I think you may be onto something, only because I think it might be every single episode. Take a concerted effort to tell us how much time has passed. When you do that, you temper the audience's expectations. It's only been a little over a week since she lost Helen and the world fell-ish, which, how long does it take for somebody to figure out that the world fell? And it's quite possible that it'll never go back to the way it was. How long does it take for somebody to accept that? Somebody like Carol, even. Which is why I look at you, Rachel, I'm like, she won't accept it for a while.
She kind of is already. Because she's like, hey, come get my garbage. Hey, turn on the lights.
And it's also like, well, what else can you do for me? Well, maybe just like the collector, you're testing the limits of what is doable under this new reality. You almost want to push them.
It's become normalized for her to call them for what she needs. She doesn't even think twice about it. You start a new job, and you go in the first day and you don't know what the heck you're doing. But by the third or fourth day, you feel like you've been there. I know where this is. I know where that is. You adapt and you...
Or you kind of fake it till you make it sort of situation. Like you're just like, oh, I assume that everybody does it this way.
But what I'm saying is it's normal to you to go there now. It's not something new. It's not something different. And then you don't think about it.
I have the perfect analogy. It's kind of like when you start out school for the first time. Do you remember doing that kindergarten or something like that where you kind of start to come online? You start to kind of follow the hive, the other kids, what they're doing. Oh, obviously this is normal. That person's doing it. That seems normal. You don't know what you're doing, and yet the adults expect you to know what you're supposed to do. You just follow what you're told because you don't know what's picking up a lunch tray. Like, well, I've never eaten at a tray at home. Okay, I guess we'll do that. You just kind of follow the crowd. You kind of figure, oh, this seems normal. Everybody else is doing it. That sort of situation. So I think that's what she's doing. This is the new normal. Let's test this out. Let's see how far we can take this. Take my garbage. Shouldn't expect a drone, I don't think, but
that was funny too.
Hilarious scene.
Yes, it was. It was very funny.
But also kind of infuriating.
So they said on the official podcast that was a real drone that they really crashed into the pole, and that was a real bag of garbage that they opened up and fell onto the ground. None of it was CGI, which I thought was really funny.
That's perfect. When I saw that scene, my mouth was open in horror. I just was like closing it. I was watching this whole thing unfold. I'm like, okay, you know she did not weigh that bag at all. This sounds about right. Like jerk off motion.
I don't know if you could notice, but you could see like it was really windy out there. The grasses and stuff were blowing around it. So that's why I was having trouble picking it up. It was funny though.
Is that why?
It was very funny.
Oh man. Actually, but I was also in horror because I know that drone is super expensive.
Oh yeah.
You're like, this costs a lot of money. Carol don't care. I'm like, Carol.
Well, what does money mean anymore?
That way?
There's a million drones laying around.
Production wise though.
Yeah, production wise, yeah. But Carol, and now you know why they built their own cul-de-sac and did not film in a real neighborhood.
Grenades, crashing drones,
cars with sirens. Not the part where she ran through the fence, but the next morning. I know we already talked about it, but when she found the button on the gun, I laughed. It was so funny.
And every single line thereafter, son of a bitch, son of a bitch, son of a bitch. Here's the other thing: when she was doing herself up and setting the place up really nice for the first message, the funniest part about that is it's not the doing herself up and any of that stuff. She's trying to make herself presentable because she realizes she did not make a great impression on the folks the first time around, or at least some of the folks she's messaging. And yet, when she's giving her whole speech, her arms are waving around. What did she forget? Why does she have a broken handcuff on one hand? She put the bottles of alcohol away. Imagine you're on the other side. Okay, this is crazy lady talking again. Fine. All right, let's let crazy. There's only so many people in the world. Where are you going to get your telenovelas from? All right, crazy talk, crazy lady. It's fine. And she's saying the things. She's like, oh, another crazy theory. I was like, why? What's that? What is? And then she's waving it around. And at one point, she has it by her face. She's like holding her head or something to that effect. And you can see it. It's dangling. It's like the chain part is right out front. And you must be thinking, if you're Lakshmi, oh, crazy ladies, somebody must have handcuffed. She might have probably handcuffed herself, that crazy idiot. It's just not going well. Whatever's happening here. So when she finds the handcuff thing, I'm like, okay, good for you. You found the handcuff key.
It just struck me.
Finally.
How awful all these other people are. Even when Carol came the first time to meet all of them, everybody was nice and everything, but it's like, cut her some slack. She just lost her wife. Everybody was like, oh, Carol, she's crazy. And Lakshmi's like, oh, she killed my grandfather. I lost my grandfather. I lost my wife. And I'm all alone. And you people have people and I don't. So it just kind of struck me how uncaring the other people were about it. They know everything about her. I'm sure they knew that her wife died.
Why would they know?
I think, because I was unsure if she mentioned that part or if they mentioned it to her.
The hive mind could have told them. Everybody around those people knows that Carol lost her wife.
Well, the hive mind people would, but the survivors wouldn't.
But I'm saying Ravi could easily have told his mother that Carol's wife had just died. They all know.
Well, yeah, the collective being knows.
That would imply they have some sort of empathy to share that information.
They have told the other survivors. They knew that Carol killed 11 million people.
I don't think they did.
So they didn't know that her wife died.
I'd say this much. It seems to me that the remaining survivors, all they really kind of sort of care about is their own situation.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's just kind of how most of us work, I think. And especially if you're the only 13 people left in the world, there's not much you can do about the rest of them.
Have some empathy, right? Understand where Carol's coming from when she's there and why she's upset. She just lost her wife and she's all alone. You all people still have people. She doesn't.
I think they do. It's just that, I'll put it to you this way. I don't know if you've ever dealt with anybody who is going through a rough grieving process. One person in my life, when her mother died, she would go into fits of screaming. And I'm not talking about crying, yelling. It's just yelling. You kind of just learn to, well, as humans do, adapt to that scenario, try to handle it in different ways. And with some people, when it comes to grieving, in some ways, you don't want to feed into the crying thing, like introduce stimuli that may make it worse because it could come back on you. Mm-hmm. And there are many different forms of people grieving in a way that you may not be able to handle, let's say, or you may not be able to handle appropriately. And so I feel like in some ways when you encounter somebody that, by the way, by all accounts, looks stupid volatile, you're in a table with Carol and she's like ranting and raving from your perspective. She kind of looks a little unhinged, rightfully so. But two things can be true. You can have the empathy, but also be like, I don't want to set off this deranged lady even more. She's obviously grieving.
I guess I'm projecting from me because I feel like I would be the kind of person that was like, I understand her wife just died. She's really upset.
But you don't want that stank on you, right?
We don't know that they don't feel that way either. We haven't seen any of these people since they had their sit-down dinner. The only time we hear from Lakshmi is because Carol made her son cry. She's reacting to the direct effect Carol had on one of her loved ones. They may be just sort of in their own little corner, like, I'm going to let this lady grieve, do her thing.
Yeah, in a way, they're treating Lakshmi, let's say, as an example, they're treating Carol the way Carol treats the hive mind. Because obviously the hive mind is like, it's a new being. It's kind of like a kid in a way. It knows what it is, but it also doesn't know how to handle Carol. In a way, it's kind of developmentally disabled. It's like, I don't know. I don't have the language or utility to be able to handle a Carol Sturka. But also Lakshmi doesn't know how to handle Carol either. How do you handle this crazy raving lunatic lady from her perspective, right? Not from our perspective. We get it. On the one hand, you don't want to set her off even more. But on the other hand, you made my quote unquote kid cry. So I'm going to yell at the thing I'm currently upset at, even though that probably is not going to help matters more. Because if you set off a Carol, you may set off the chain reaction that could make your kid cry again.
Lakshmi knows that if she yells at any of the hive mind, she's going to do the same thing Carol did, and then she can't blame Carol for it because she did it too.
That was my first thought when she was on the phone with Carol. Like, are you crazy? You calm down, Lakshmi, because now you're doing the thing that Carol did, and I don't want you to set Ravi off, which sets up the whole thing.
But she's directing it at Carol.
True. I'm just like, listen, I don't want to be the match.
She's directing it at Carol rather than at the hive mind who was actually the
technically
reason. But anyway,
good point. Maybe this is something we ought to take away, is that when it's directed specifically at a node in the hive mind, that's when things kind of seize. They glitch out, let's say. But I did write that in my notes.
Okay, that's interesting because of the comment Carol makes about her biblically ishy mood if she doesn't get what she wants. But nobody's around. She could get as mad and screaming and ranting as much as she wants, and it's really not going to affect anybody anymore because no one's around.
That's why they all went out of Albuquerque. She would have to get in her car and drive to another town and find a hive mind person and yell at them.
Can you imagine how fast they would run away?
Oh my gosh!
They would have to bring in helicopter air support.
My gosh!
Get them out of here!
I don't want her to do that, but I do.
Yeah. I don't know. The scene I have in my head will never compare to what they possibly show us. I think.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the one guy in the street. He's dodging left or right. And then they start running down the street. And Carol's gets into the cop car and starts. And then they get air support and they lift him out. We got him. It's okay. It's all right, Hive Mind.
A drone come picks him up.
There's no short of dramatic music in the show, by the way.
Somebody still has to be in Albuquerque.
To turn the lights on, right?
Have a drone nearby.
I don't know if you could fly a drone from another city in this city. There has to be somebody still there, just not where Carol can see them or find them or yell at them.
Unless there is a way to do it remotely. David, can you tap into a system from
just plug into a computer remotely and then do the thing?
They could have a drone watching her like they did before. We've got a drone watching you, and then they made it fly away. So they could be flying a drone around and be like, oh, she's in her house. You guys can do whatever you need to do in the city. Everything's fine. Oh, she's standing outside but far away, so you can send the drone in. We can see where she's going.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because remember when she said to turn on all the lights everywhere? She wasn't very specific, by the way, which made me worried.
I was like, yeah, the lights are coming on in Brazil.
Right, exactly. And then Lakshmi would call up. She'd be like, why are the lights on everywhere? I'm trying to go to sleep. Ravi's trying to go to sleep.
Ravi's trying to sleep.
Ravi doesn't need sleep.
Yes, he does.
Maybe. I don't.
They're still human. They are still
what if the
organisms.
Juice makes them work at 1/8 the speed and so they don't need sleep?
But they do still need sleep. The difference is they're going to figure out the exact optimum time of sleep, and that's it. They're not going to sleep any more or any less.
I didn't see anybody sleep.
That's not true.
Except
we saw
for
Zosha sleeping in the
Yeah, but she had to be
hospital.
medically induced coma, so
not true.
We don't know.
She was napping. She was napping. No, I truly believe they do still have to sleep because they are still humans. Whatever they are mentally, they are physically, anatomically, biologically humans.
Right.
They still need to do everything a human needs to do to survive, which includes sleep.
The only joke that I would make about Ravi is that the kid probably doesn't need as much sleep as he used to. And if he does sleep at all, it's all to make Lakshmi feel comfortable.
Is still forming, so he would physiologically still need the same amount of food and nutrients that he would get normally.
And the amount of sleep.
Which brings up another question about the hive mind. What do they do about children whose brains have not formed yet?
I wonder if babies can talk since they have all the thoughts together.
Oh, man. That's a tough one to bring out.
Are their vocal cords in their brain fully formed enough to do that? Because even if you have the hive mind, all babies are born with the ability to speak.
They can make
They have
sound.
to
Yeah.
develop, and their brain has to develop to a certain point before it can do that. So I imagine that still remains the same. Maybe with babies, they have like a filter or something, so babies aren't hit with like everybody's thoughts right in their little brains. Physiologically wise, they would still have to develop to a certain point before they could do things.
Be able to like talk.
But you know what?
At
They don't have
least.
to be potty trained. The little baby gets to a certain point where its brain is formed at 2 years old. You don't have to potty train it because it knows
what
to go
to
to the
do.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Until the brain develops to that point, it's still going to be
Yeah.
a
Right.
baby.
It's still a biological organism.
And learning how to walk.
Right.
You need to form the muscles in your body to be able to hold your body weight. It's not just about learning to take those steps. It's forming the muscles that are strong enough to carry your body around.
I imagine they have like a big daycare where they just have all the unformed brain babies stuck in there, and they
Yeah.
just have like hive mind people corralling them.
They have bodies
Right.
in the
They
daycare.
have bodies, yeah.
But I mean, if we're talking about an entirely new species, they have to have the next generation of that
Are
species,
they feeding
right?
the babies that stuff, or do they have like baby food?
I mean,
Well,
it's
probably
liquid,
babies
so
get the
they could
same
probably
stuff.
I mean,
get the
but
same
don't
stuff.
babies need different nutrients than
No.
grown people?
I think they need it in different concentrations because
I think,
growing babies probably need more at different intervals, let's say.
Yeah.
It's all about what the human body can take.
I mean, if we're talking about like jarred baby food, it's just mushed up
It's
food.
mostly sugar.
No, unless you're referring to like naturally occurring,
Yes.
the good stuff.
I just had this vision of McDonald's baby food with like ground up cheeseburgers stuffed
Sure.
in a jar.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want right now.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as nutrients go, babies get the same nutrients.
Yeah. I mean, if
Any
you can
adult would.
package that in a way that is easily digestible for everybody, then
Mm-hmm.
who cares?
Yep.
But I wanted to mention one little wrinkle is that, yeah, we're still biological organisms and that they're only going to be able to link them up or process information in and out to the best of that biological organism's capacity, right? You don't want to flood them with too much information at once. They're not able to handle it. Too much stimuli. A baby being born screams because they're basically blind. The brightness of everything is too much for them at first. They don't have the cognitive capacity to filter things out. They can only handle so much at once. Everything is in stages. And so I imagine that the hive mind connectivity of their thing is extremely limited at first. And then gradually, as the organism, like a plant, grows, it's able to actually handle more information in the hive. It's able to connect to other people. It's like having a billion mothers, let's say, or multiple billions of mothers, or multiple billions of fathers, being able to rear this thing, be able to tell what to do, etc. So many things are involuntary at that stage. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to even think that all of that would not be external now. It would be internal. All the rearing,
yeah.
all the guiding is internal. It's a feeling. They're moving the hand. They're doing the things.
More instinct than anything else.
In a manner of speaking, yeah. If you want to boil it down, it would be instinctual. You're not guiding the baby from the outside.
David, you haven't been with us for the past few recordings. I'm curious to get your opinion on something specific. When Carol's looking for the heroin, I'm using bunny ears.
Air quotes, yeah.
Air bunnies. The doctor comes in, or whoever he is comes in, and he refers to the bodies who are currently undergoing recovery, basically. So like drug addicts, basically. What do you think's happening to these people? Are their brains currently in the hive, or are they shut off in some capacity, or is it just like gobbledygook? What do you think's happening to these bodies that are
I think it's
currently
the severity
recovering?
because you'd asked the question, I think, a couple episodes ago, which was if you introduce physical stimuli, does everybody feel it? And I don't
Charity
think it
brought
is.
up, Alzheimer's and other factors that might compromise your mental ability.
Yeah, your input output.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's the way I'm putting it, like in computer terms.
Can they look into your memories and differentiate between dreams or memories? Dreams are a manifestation of your subconscious. I've had really freaky dreams. Did they pick up on those? Is that something that they remember that I remember?
I'm sure, because in a sense, we're all humans and we all draw upon a common shared experience in life, albeit individuals that have different experiences and take away things from different experiences. But when you share those experiences with one another under a single consciousness, I'd imagine all that would remain is what is shared over what is different. And even the things that are different are kind of uniquely human. Does that make sense? Because your way of understanding the differences is a product of who you are as a human. I'm trying to make sense of something that's very complex, but let's answer the question first, because I think you can handle some of those recoveries in multiple ways. In terms of how bad the withdrawal is, let's say, you could probably put some of those people in a medically induced coma. I do think that the physical stimuli is not shared. So if you get one of them high, I don't think it's something that they share. I think it's really the emotional impact that's really the thing that is shared.
That's true. Because Carol asks Zosha when she's drinking. When you drink,
does the 6-year-old slur his words?
Yeah. Right.
She said it doesn't work like that way. Correct.
I think they're just trying to heal the body. The body is them, right?
But what does that mean for the mind right now? Where is that individual's mind currently?
It's just a node so that's the problem, is that it's just a node in the collective. Let me put it to you this way. Think of the collective as a flat screen TV. When you look at your TV, what do you see?
A screen.
Glass, and just plays images that are coming at you, right? And you call it my TV.
But you don't see the things that make it all up.
Yeah, you don't see the pixels.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I'm with you.
So think of somebody who is suffering drug addiction, and he could be anything, right? It could be withdrawal, whatever it is, Alzheimer's, right? Developmental disorders, whatnot. Think of that as a pixel that is acting a little funky. You may not even see it, by the way. Billions of pixels. In that sense, isn't it sort of like a tapestry? You look at it from afar, you don't get to see the forest for the trees. You don't get to see the individual threads that make it up, that make it beautiful, that make it a single thing. But occasionally some go dark. A thread is pulled, but you don't really notice it. It doesn't change the way you feel or see or experience that beauty, that portrait. But, for now, it just needs we have to replace the thread. We have to just weave that one thread in.
Okay.
If you want to put it that way, in terms of, say, pixels, you may not notice one, but when there's a whole lot of them that's out, you're going to notice.
Thanks, Carol. Which a thought occurred to me, because you don't really think about this. You're thinking it's like the milk, right? You see a milk carton, you're like, oh, that makes sense. They're in a hospital. They drank milk. It's in their tray, blah, blah, right? But then you notice, wait, there's a lot of them in that hospital. And then you remember, it's only been a week. And Carol, when she shook up that consciousness twice, because we only heard about the first one, which is $1 billion total, including the 11 million.
It was 866,400 and something thousand, and then 11 million after that. So it was almost $1 billion, and then $1 million. And then they didn't give us a total on the second one.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And so, that one. Hospital. Do the math and distill it down to Albuquerque to see, okay, of that, how many of them were in Albuquerque that got hurt while they were doing all the droney things? And so,
like the guy hanging from the crane, which is probably still one of my favorite moments. But even then, you see the lady on the ground who had fallen on her face, and she's might be one of the 11 million.
She might be in the freezer, actually. They are very nonchalant matter. They mourned the loss and they moved on, right? The collective. I'm just saying, it's just an awful lot of people they had to move out of there probably from before, maybe during the whole thing, maybe because of Carol.
The hospital is actually a community college that they turned into a hospital for the show.
It felt like a community college. It's a big community college too, though.
Notice last week when Carol was getting ready to go into the hospital right before she pulled the crap on Zosha, there was a guy unloading a truck. That was a Duke City milk truck.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he was unloading milk and taking it into the hospital.
You mean quote unquote milk?
Yeah, the milk.
It does a hive mind good.
Which Zosha was drinking strawberry milk that episode too.
Mm-hmm.
Carol even gave her a
straw,
non-transparent straw. So when she sucked up the brown liquid, it didn't look like brown liquid.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, we didn't mention this. I'm surprised we didn't. Okay, so when Carol is looking across, this is like before the first coyote, wolf, whatever attack. I don't know which one was which. She looks across the nightstand. She sees Carol's mask. And later on, I think right before the second wolf attack, I think she finally uses it. Mm-hmm. Underneath the mask, sleeping mask.
And then they were none.
Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Mm-hmm. Let me just explain the premise of the book. And then if you guys have ever read it, you can expound upon it. But it's about 10 strangers, each harboring a dark secret from their past, who are lured to a secluded island by an unknown host, which is like a common trope on TV shows with the whodunit.
This stranger invited me to an island. Let me hop on a boat and go.
Once they're there, they're accused of past crimes through a recording and a nursery rhyme displayed in the house. One by one, the guests are mysteriously murdered in a manner that echoes the nursery rhyme. And as the number of survivors dwindles, they realize the killer must be one of them. The killer is Carol. And it's obvious. It's not a mystery. Again, reverse. We're reversing the trope.
But keep going with that.
The 10 strangers accept an invitation to an isolated estate on the island off the coast, only to find their host, Mr. and Mrs. Owen, an anagram for unknown, is absent. The accusation, a gramophone record plays, accusing each of the guests of getting away with murder, and a copy of the nursery rhyme 10 Little Indians is found in every room. The murders. The guests are killed off one by one, with each death corresponding to a verse in the nursery rhyme, and a small soldier figurine disappearing from the dining room table after each death. The central mystery. With the island cut off from the mainland, right? All the survivors are kind of cut off from one another. Survivors realize the murderer is among them, Carol, and they must unmask the killer before no one is left. So there's a point to all this. Part of it is, okay, I'm actually wondering, I don't really think this, mind you, I don't think this, but I'm wondering if you guys might, because you're more paranoid than I am about the collective. Do you think for a hot second that maybe the collective sicked the wolves on Carol?
No, I brought this up in the second episode when we were covering it. With all of the people and all the lights off and people not hunting anymore, things like that, the wildlife population is going to explode.
I was just thinking, though, it'd be a good cover story.
The combination of people gone and lights off and meat underneath the ground and her trash, because her trash is what drew them originally. And she is out on the outskirts, right? Like, she's not in the city. I never even considered that. I was like, nope, they're just wolves coming because they smell food.
But like maybe the drones were like dangling a piece of meat towards Carol's house and dropped it somewhere.
No.
I say this because it is a good cover story, if that were the case.
If she were to get attacked, there's no one there to save her.
Well, that was my first thought. I just want to be clear.
They couldn't save her from the wolves anyway because they can't kill something even to save.
Right.
Not even harm it.
Which they brought up with the lion attacks or the tiger attacks or whatever early on.
Right, whenever it was gabbing about, well, the giraffe in my window. Shoo, giraffe, shoo, Shumei says.
You're leaving out the end of the book. The murderer was actually one of the people that were there, but that person was dead too. So he set up the whole thing because he wanted to create a mystery that could never be solved because all of the people were dead. Even the murderer was considered to be dead.
Well, the whole point is that everybody's awful in this scenario, essentially, for the most part.
Yeah, because like one of them had like hit a kid with their car or something, and another one was embezzling or something. I don't know, but they all did terrible crimes.
I'm wondering what you think about that in relation to Pluribus, though. Like, do you feel differently than me about Carol being the secret killer or not so secret killer?
If the reversal has a bad outcome, like we said earlier, and she manages to do the reversal, then she will have been the bad guy, right?
Yeah, that's essentially what I'm saying.
I was thinking a little bit more opposite when I read, and then there were none. I was thinking, and then there were none survivors. Eventually, the hive mind will take over these 13 people who are left. And
that's what my first thought was.
Or Carol's going to be responsible for the deaths of all of the survivors.
Well, that was my second thought. I don't know why it's so funny. I shouldn't be laughing. I mean, it's fictional. Let's just be real. It's kind of like how we saw COVID. Oh, it's the zombie apocalypse. No, it's not. It's ridiculous. Why is there no TP? Stuff like that. Do you know?
Many people got to sit in their house and watch Netflix?
If this is how it's going to go down, let's go down laughing. A lot of what's happening is more funny than it is dramatic. Like the wolf stuff, obviously, I actually was pretty tense about that because you take it for granted with this hive mind buzzing about. Like you said, Rachel, from the beginning, distracting you, that if this is one single entity or organism, that's one person. And that's all that's protecting you from the rest of the living things, natural disasters and stuff like that. So if you don't have a good relationship with that, it's not looking too good for you. You're on the homestead now. You're a pioneer in pioneer times all by yourself, Carol.
I was afraid that when she fell in the dumpster, she wasn't going to be able to get back out again, and she was going to be stuck in there.
It was just funnier than that.
Until because she didn't have her phone or anything. Well, she didn't have a phone, then they don't work anymore.
Who's she going to call?
So
right?
I'm afraid she was going to be in the dumpster and then just be stuck in there, and that was going to. Somebody had to come rescue her. For sure, that dumpster scene was a little shout out to the dumpster scene in Better Call Saul, when Jimmy was looking for the shredded papers and he climbed into the dumpster behind the old people home, and it was full of diapers and coffee grounds and stuff.
Only far more colorful. Primary colors too. Did you notice that? A lot of blue, yellows and reds.
Pink.
It looked that way when they drove out of Albuquerque too. All the cars were those very bright primary colors, even though it was kind of dusky so you couldn't super see them. They still were very brightly primary colored. That shot was stitched together. They filmed it two separate ways, and they filmed Carol. She's not actually on the roof. They filmed that on a soundstage and photoshopped her onto
Yeah, you
the
could
roof.
tell.
You-
Ooh.
Yeah, you
because
could
they were
tell.
like, it wouldn't be safe to put her up on a roof. And I was like, oh, okay.
And the abusive ex goes, "Good riddance, F you."
Nothing but the taillights.
Oh, man. Man, again, it's like you want to have sympathy for her because you guys have been saying it every episode. I hate when she did this. I hate it. She's the worst. That's kind of what I said about Vince Gilligan and Uniquely American and warts and all, but also it's what makes us great is that anytime you have any sort of bad feelings towards Carol, you're really having bad feelings towards yourself because you're essentially judging the human experience. Judge this woman after you've gone through what she's gone through, all the various things that happened in succession, losing your wife, the world as you know it coming to an end, being basically alone and completely disconnected from the rest of the actual other survivors. And the only person that you have left in the world is a collective consciousness. That's one person.
I've been pretty supportive and defensive of Carol until the last episode, and that just made me angry because of what a terrible, crappy thing she did. And when I said what made me the most upset was, aren't I making you sad? Isn't that making you sad that you're not doing what I want? That manipulation was what made me angry. Like I even understood why she was doing it.
Right. Because the
That was
grievers, like I said before,
really
there are people who
crappy.
grieve like that. They just don't care who they're hurting because they're not in that place where they're thinking of others. So I get that. Like, it's just like you don't want to be around people like that. Sometimes you just have to, I'm sorry for your loss, and they get to go home.
I would
you know?
dislike Carol in real life.
I wouldn't though. I get it. I get what you said before. You're not in the right place. 7 days. 7 days. It's not enough time to kind of come down.
Even before Carol, before in the real world, I would not have liked Carol.
Yeah, she's kind of a miserable person. Yeah. We all know
I
somebody
understand
like
her
that.
misery now. Like, I'm totally empathetic with that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the before Carol.
I do sometimes think about that too, the kind of person she was before. And you guys had a really great conversation about the things she's been through and also the kind of validation or understanding she needs from Helen, who was a good match for her, who was unconditional love, who was showing her, this is what you're missing out on that you don't know that you're missing out on, but I'm showing you this thing. It was a great conversation. I just want to commend you
Thank
on
you.
that too, because I loved listening to that.
you.
But yeah, now she's alone. But she's not alone because all the scenes with Zosia, the handcuffing when she's causing all this pain, I kept thinking to myself, because it's hard for me to extricate that Helen is in there too, meaning everything that was Helen is in this distributed other conscious. It's not Helen. And this is the trap, isn't it? But it could be in the same respect that Ravi is for Lakshmi and her husband too, which is a trap.
The difference is Helen, they have her memories, but she's not making any more memories. She's not there thinking about Carol or whatever because she's dead. All they have is what she thought then or felt then. They don't have anything about what Helen would say now.
Well, like anybody alive or dead. The AI approximation I was talking about earlier, like in the first episode, based on past experiences, this is what she would say
if
now.
They still have a
would
little
she?
bit of themselves in there that they have to use when dealing with Carol and the others. What I'm saying is Helen isn't there anymore to build on the memories that she has for them to deal with Carol. All they have is her past memories. There's no new Helen in there saying, look, this is what you should say to Carol. I know I lived with her all these years. This is what you should say to her to handle her. All they have is what Helen would have said before to deal with Carol. But this is not the same Carol that she was when Helen was alive.
Yeah. I think, David, how I'm picturing it is no one is really making or forming new memories, because I like the way you describe the fusion, David, and it makes the most sense to me, where once everybody became this hive mind, they are a completely different being. Now, yes, they do have all the memories of everybody else. So to me, because I have to make sense of things and I am like, oh, it's like this. So it's as if the entire world, all of these humans became the internet.
Right. It births a new human.
Right, which is now sort of the internet. So if we were to go to Google and say, what would Helen think of this? It could generate a response, but it wouldn't be that person. What would Ravi have for breakfast? It could generate a response, but it's not actually Ravi saying, here's what I want for breakfast. It's like they became the internet.
What this episode tells us, though, you wouldn't be faulted for thinking that this thing is unfeeling or does not have a personality until this episode where they decided they needed space from Carol. That means it actually cares or is self-preserving. It cares about protecting its feelings, but also its bodily integrity, right? Because in a sense, Carol betrayed their trust. That's where they're like, please, Carol, please, Carol, you're hurting us in a different way than you did before when you were yelling at us. You're betraying us. We gave you everything. All we want to do is make you happy, and you're hurting us. And it's not even the physical hurt. I just want to reiterate that. When we're talking about the addiction, the physical addiction, drinking, whatever, it doesn't bother them. Impairment doesn't bother them. It's the idea of betrayal. You're getting me to do something that I'm not supposed to be able to do. You're betraying me.
And they made that very clear as well.
Yeah, you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do, or I can't, or I'm not supposed to do, like is literally making me destroy myself. So that's what hurts them. That's why they're crying. They can't stop because they can't stop that one node from spilling the beans. It's a dangerous thing, being able to tap into a node that has the collection of knowledge that you have access to. Like, let's say she literally hacked the internet being and extracted data from it. And it hurt. I understand that completely. After the week I've had, I feel betrayed. I felt what Zosha felt. I had to clean it up and everything. Put tubes in my face. I love that this thing is this being, this person, this thing has a personality. And it not that it's fighting back, but it's protecting, it's running away from the thing that caused it the pain, like any organism would do, ex-girlfriend would do. Because again, I still see the collective as a sort of Helen 2.0 in a sense, like her chance of actually having it's like a fusion of Helen with everybody else. Because I don't agree that you can distill Helen into another Zosha, let's say, like, because it's easy to because your brain, right? You look at Zosha, you're like, oh, isn't that Helen? Because she, from her memory, drew out that image of Raban and put it, like, this is as close as it's going to get.
Everybody thinks that Raban was based on Helen, but they never explicitly said that. What if Raban is based on what Carol wants for herself?
That's literally what I said in the first episode.
Which is why she's doing all this, because she thinks she's being a hero and she's saving people.
Right. Haughty and proud.
Right.
I also thought it was Carol. That was the first thing I said, and you guys said it was wrong. And I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I won't talk about it ever again. It's the idealized self, though, isn't it? Right? It's who you imagine yourself to be versus who you actually are. And isn't that how she's seeing herself right now? Haughty and proud. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, but you don't realize the other dark side of those attributes, and that's destructive and unfeeling and abusive and manipulative, right? Right? Because that being is still a being. It still has feelings and catastrophic feelings.
That's kind of who she is as a writer, because she's abusing and manipulating her readers. And they're eating it up. They're not taking it that way. But when you create characters and then you leave people hanging as to what happens to them, or you kill them off, you're manipulating and hurting your readers.
Yeah. That's how I sometimes refer to Chuck Palahniuk's writing, author Fight Club, basically. He does that to his audience too. Just makes us feel things that we don't want to feel. Isn't that what all artists try to do, is try to get you to feel a certain way about certain things? It's a little meta what the series is doing to us. We're trying to recognize the damage that we're doing as artists, or even us as podcasters.
I don't know if there is an intended feeling that an artist wants you to feel. They just want you to feel something, and it's open to interpretation.
Well, they want to gently guide you.
They want you to take away whatever feeling it is that you need to feel in that moment, because an artist is going to feel a certain way while they're creating it. And yeah, a lot of people probably are going to feel the same way, but a good majority aren't. They're going to feel a completely different way, but the goal is still the same. They made you feel something.
Right. See, what I had written down also was that Carol was kind of like the internet too, in a sense, where a lot of people on the internet, the way it's democratized currently, I don't think people understand the degree to which they have influence. To the point where I think most people don't think they have influence. But when they start yelling on the internet and they reach certain people, I think it has a severe impact, more impact than they're able to feel in that current moment. And so when Carol flies off the handle, she doesn't understand, or she hasn't grasped yet, and I think she's starting to, the kinds of destructive power her mere words have against a whole being. And I think that's how we are on the internet sometimes. The words we use on the internet could have a severe effect on one person or many people. It can make many people feel bad, many people empowered. We just don't understand the degree to which, because I had this thought about free speech, how it's a privilege. It's also a right, but it's also like, once you say a thing, once you bring that idea or meme into reality, the people within earshot can't unhear or unsee it. An extreme amount of power that you don't really think about on a day-to-day basis. That's why they've all disappeared. That's why they've all run away. They don't want to take the chance on hearing it or visually taking in what it is that Carol's trying to express. And now the poor operator on the other end, the Howard Hamlin, is the sacrifice, basically. What if they isolated Howard Hamlin from the collective just for the sake of the rest of the hive?
If there was somebody that Howard Hamlin should have distanced himself from, I think Kim Wexler would be the answer.
Right. Kim Wexler does it again, folks. Ruined Howard Hamlin's life by ending it.
Duke City, which is the name of the dairy company, is a nickname for Albuquerque because Albuquerque was named after the Spanish noble, the Duke of Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
I mean, it's also called the ABQ, but there was a shot that they use, they called it the Well of Souls shot. And it's this backlit sunset when Carol's done with the dance floor, standing with the sunset behind her. They talked about getting that shot in the podcast, but they were calling it the Well of Souls shot because it resembled the one where Indy was directing the diggers in Raiders of the Lost Ark when they were digging for the Ark, and there's a shot of Indy with the sunset behind him.
And he's all silhouetted, basically.
So when you see Carol silhouetted, you can see all the bugs flying around her.
The gnats.
Which kind of made me think of the hive mind people all
buzzing about Carol.
However, how they got that shot was the camera was really far away. And because of the way the lens they were using, all of the bugs that were in between the camera and Ray Seahorn were caught in that shot. So that's why it looks like there's a gajillion bugs around her face. It really wasn't like that, but I thought that was really interesting.
It kind of worked.
But right, I did think so too. I looked like the hive mind people going around in her
the literal hive,
face.
The gnat hive.
Beautiful shot. Also, another shot that was really interesting was right after she chased the wolves off, they showed a shot of looking down from the top of the car into the driver's side.
Well, and all the single no-cut tracking shots in the beginning, you kind of take it for granted. You start off with that sky seen through the mesh window and then pulls back, sees the guy drinking the milk, and you keep pulling back and you see this person come across. It's all a single shot. Again, really well done, really well thought out shots to kind of convey multiple ideas at once, or multiple Chekhov's guns, Chekhov's milk carton at once.
Soylent Green is people.
David, we already know what you think. Sharondy, what did she see under that tarp?
I hate to go with the trope, but I think it's body parts or something freeze dried.
Maybe
it took her a minute to recognize what it was because being freeze dried is going to look a little weird. I feel like I'm wrong, because I just feel like that's way too obvious an answer.
I'm trying to think of anything else that would give her the reaction we saw, though. I mean, I also thought body parts.
Maybe it's dogs or something. Who knows?
Everybody hates that.
That would freak me out.
I'd rather say people.
I just really feel like people is too obvious an answer. But I feel like that's the one I have to go with. You know what? That's why we're not writing the show.
Yep.
That's why I went so far afield with my answer.
Maybe it's her DVDs.
Maybe it's her Golden Girls collection. They went in my house and stole it.
It's the camera card she flushed down the toilet they found too.
And the other two she sent.
Yeah,
well, maybe that could be it. All right. And they make me eat it.
They came out and dug Helen up when she wasn't there and moved Helen's body, and now she just covered up
That is a Dave answer if I've ever heard
floor
one.
over an empty grave.
Cruelty. Thy name is Sharon.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages.
We just thought we'd remind you to show this episode some love by tapping that like button, if there's one to be tapped, subscribing to our podcast or channel, and if available, enabling all notifications, and sharing the show, or clips of it, with everyone you know. And don't be afraid to reach out. Leave your questions, feedback, ideas, or even concerns in the comment section. There isn't one? Head on over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead and leave your thoughts there. Rating our podcast is the best way to get our attention because it also boosts our visibility. And we'll probably address it in the next episode too. And if you think there's something to what we're doing here at Squawking Dead, tip us over on Ko-fi. As a token of our appreciation, you'll receive forever access to our Discord, along with 30 days access to our uncut episode and interview recordings, plus our pre-squawk insights. Take your support further. Join a membership tier on either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, and you'll unlock access to more channels on our Discord server, receive shoutouts at the end of every episode, and depending on what tier you join, the ability to join us on camera and mic to break down future episodes alongside us. Thank you for hearing us out and making it this far into the episode.
We now return you to our regularly scheduled podcast.
Let's leave it there. We have a lot on the plate, so we have a lot for you to digest. And with that, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this discussion on Pluribus, the 5th episode of its inaugural season, titled Got Milk. And now you have a lot to think about, everybody. This individual was David Cameo.
This individual, formerly known as Cosmo Mom.
The artist formerly known as Cosmo Mom 09. This individual is Blazy Gardner.
And we are Squawking Dead. Hi, mine beep bop board. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Beep bop board. We're done. I don't need a mute.
I've been holding that in
she's
for
like
2
wondering
hours.
how far I should go with this one. Thanks so much for making it to the end of yet another episode of Squawking Dead. This one, our discussion on Pluribus's 5th episode of its inaugural season, titled Got Milk. It's always a pleasure to have you here listening to our insights, taking the time out of your day, knowing full well that your time is valuable and you choose to spend it here. Thank you so much again. I feel like it's a good opportunity to tell you that it is very nice to be back again, and I will be back for the next episode, which will be a discussion on It Welcome to Derry's 6th episode, titled In the Name of the Father, which you can already get if you tip us on Ko-fi or join a membership for as little as $4 a month. Early access is a perk that people receive when they support us in any way, shape, or form. Even buying digital items in our Ko-fi shop, things like remixes and title sequences, ringtones, backgrounds, which I highly recommend you check out. Just head over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead and choose the shop section, and there are a whole bunch of digital goodies that you can check out as well. And speaking of our Ko-fi or our memberships, etc., it's time to show a little recognition to our At Least Whispers members. We don't have any Survivors members. That's our producer tier. It's a little bit more expensive, but it does give you access to our core channel featuring us, the hosts, talking about things we are not ready to talk about on Discord just yet. Of the Whispers members, we have Rob Lucchese, who was with us throughout our entire run of It Welcome to Derry. You can reach him on TikTok at Rob's Stuff _N as in Nancy _Thangs, THANGS. And of course, Kim Rowley at Kim.Rowley, the number 1 on Facebook. It's been a little rough trying to cover 2 episodes a week, doing our best over here in light of all the things that have been happening behind the scenes in my own personal life that has prevented me from attending a handful of episodes. Unfortunately, I did miss you guys. I'm glad to be back. Who knows if I'll need to go away again. That's the nature of the biz, but I am glad that I'm back. You will see me in the next episode. And just to keep you abreast of things Squawking Dead, we're getting ready to obviously get into the new season of Fallout, season 2. There's a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is going to be mid-January. So there's going to be no shortage of episodes that will be occurring in tandem. Any amount of support that you can give us during this time would be highly welcome. It shows us how much you appreciate our content, as it is very difficult on me personally, and I'm sure it's difficult on our hosts because it's hard to find time to talk about these episodes, but it's even harder to actually edit and publish these episodes, and it's only going to get harder moving forward. With that, everybody, I said it before and I'll say it again. Just remember, no matter what happens, no matter from there or not, that we, all of us, you, me, everybody, are Squawking Dead.